everybody, and welcome to Tomato Gems. In today's video, we want to talk to you about tagliatelle and show you how you can easily make them at home. For those of you who may not be familiar, tagliatelle is a type of fresh pasta typical of northern Italy. According to tradition, they are made with just two simple ingredients, eggs and flour. Flour, in particular, is perhaps the most essential ingredient in this recipe, because depending on the type you choose, the final product will have different characteristics in appearance, taste and texture. What we'll do is teach you how to make classic tagliatelle in two versions, using either all-purpose flour or hard wheat semolina. For both recipes, we will follow a specific ratio between the ingredients. 1 whole medium-sized egg for each 100 grams of flour, so you'll have the ability to easily decide the final amount of tagliatelle you want to make. Keep in mind, however, that the more eggs and flour you mix together, the more complex the processing stages will become. For beginners, we recommend following the same quantities we suggest to get the hang of it. That said, we can finally start with the explanation. Start by placing 200 grams of flour, in this case all-purpose, on the work surface to form a small mountain. However, set a little bit aside, just in case you need to add it later if your dough turns out too hydrated. With your hand, make a hole in the center and crack 2 eggs into it. Using a fork, gently mix to combine the yolks and the whites, and gradually start incorporating the flour from the edges. Grab a spatula to collect the flour and start kneading by hand for at least 10 minutes. Be patient, I know it's a tiring process, but it's essential to hydrate the dough evenly and create a gluten mesh. This process can also be done in a bowl or with a stand mixer. If everything has gone well, you should have a smooth, non-sticky and elastic dough. At this point, cover it in plastic wrap and let it rest in the fridge for at least half an hour. In the meantime, we'll prepare the second dough using semolina, and following the exact same steps as before, and this will also apply to the subsequent stages. You will notice a substantial difference in texture, since you'll be working with a coarser dough, due to the graininess of this type of flour. After half an hour resting, the dough will become more moist and soft, so much that it will deform if you press it with a finger. Now lightly dust both sides with flour to prevent it from sticking to the work surface, and grab a wooden rolling pin. Start rolling out the dough by pressing in one direction, then rotate it and repeat the process several times. By doing so, you should get a circular disc that will gradually expand. The goal is to roll the dough out to a uniform thickness of about 1 mm, or as thin as possible. This phase will also require time and patience. Now our sheet of pasta is ready for the final stage, and as you can see, it has become so thin that you can almost see through to the cutting board underneath. If you want to obtain a more uniform tagliatelle, you can slightly trim the edges of the sheet using a knife. Then, gently fold it over itself, like this. Finally, proceed to cut slices at least 5 mm thick. And now it's time to unravel the rolls of pasta you've just cut. Your handmade tagliatelle are ready. Arrange them all together in the same direction, dusting a bit of flour to prevent them from sticking to each other. Four more small nests of tagliatelle and you're done. However, our work isn't finished yet. We still have one more dough to turn into tagliatelle. To avoid making this video longer than necessary, we'll let our hands do the talking. These are the results we obtained. Perhaps you can't see much difference, but the texture is where it all changes. With all-purpose flour, we achieved a smooth sheet and a smooth product, while with semolina flour, we obtained a rough sheet and more rustic tagliatelle. We encourage you to try both versions and decide for yourself which one you prefer. Once prepared, you can easily store the tagliatelle in the freezer for a couple of months until they're ready to be cooked. But it would be a shame not to try them right now, don't you think? And that's all, folks. Let us know in the comments if you found this video useful and if you'll try making tagliatelle at home. See you at the next jam.